All right, so a friend of mine asked me to do an impression of PbtA games, and I am not, I've been thinking about it. I've been, reflecting on it, discussing a lot with the people I played with, and for me, like PbtA games. First, they are not created equal. Some games are, have different kind of subsystem added to them and different kind of the way the playbooks are written. So, I think that the engine has a lot of, great potential. But I think that depending on the designers, the way the questions and the dice results are written might not gonna be optimal and create some weird situations sometimes. So it's a weird feeling I have with these games. I think they lack some games. They wanna have they want to produce a genre that that needs like for example the cyberpunk. I played a cyberpunk game. This is not going to be a review of the Veil, but I played a cyberpunk game in PbtA, and for me cyberpunk deserves more technological mechanics, like gears mechanic and stuff like that. So it doesn't care enough sometimes. PbtA doesn't care enough about the minutiae. So it's a level of abstraction that is cool, that I like in some games and that produce a certain kind of play. But in terms of, and this is really personal, but I grew more and more fond of cool mechanics and stuff, little granular. Yeah, I like more, I like more grains. So it's just, I like more grains, and when a game, for example, a combat game, where you have some gear, like there is a PbtA game, what's his name? I think it's John Harper, the guy that did the Blade in the Dark. He created a PbtA games about modern warfare. And there is a lot of tables, there is tables, it's stats for guns and vehicles and stuff. So, it's possible to be more granular with these games. And I think I think it's important, when you design a PbtA game, I think it's important to be aware of the genre you're going for and be really, really specific about, how you implemented the subsystems and the playbook. Otherwise, it can become super vague. And so, in the experience I had with the game I played, that's that is something that happened. I ended up sometimes unsatisfied, but at the same time, if you align your intention of play, you align your social contract, you align everything with what the playbooks are going for, I think it creates a great experience. If you stick to it, it creates at least a reliable experience. Not necessarily great, because sometimes it might fall short. It happens a couple of times with me where I was trying to do something, and rolling the dice, the results and the sentence, the resolution, the way it's written, feels so alien with the stuff that I was doing that it was artificial, create some kind of an artificial experience. And where you have kind of like to fight with the playbook as written and the situation in play and the way you narrate it. So it creates, some distance sometimes with the resolution and the experience as you play. So at first, it's a super easy, these are super easy games because the procedure is in the playbook. So you follow the playbook. You roll the dice, follow the playbook. So it's really easy. I mean, you don't really have to play a lot of sessions, and to get the mastery of the game, like Burning Wheel, for example, where you have, after a year of play, you're still finding out stuff, which is cool as well. It's another experience. In PbtA games, it's more like you get it first session. I mean, you first read, you get it. But having a full mastery and fluidity with the way you interpret the playbook and the resolution and all that, I think it takes time. At least maybe playing, on a regular basis or something. And I think that's what I experienced. We, in the group I was in, we didn't have enough momentum to, kind of get in the swing of things. Also, the game master has a specific set of rules that are really abstract. GM moves and layers and level of difficulty of consequences to apply and stuff like that. And since there's no dice, it's really abstract, really arbitrary, and it takes some time to get used to that. It's a weird learning experience because it's not usual. It's not about mechanics. It's about how are you going to be as a MC? How are you going to be arbitrary, influencing and having inputs on the consequences? Like, how are you going to deal with that? Because there's on the one side there is the playbook that tells you this happens after the dice. But on the other hand, so the GM is, you just have to follow along, and the player as well. But on the MC scenario sheet and MC moves part, it's not about the playbook, it's random, it's everywhere you want to put it. It's just, boom, I inject this right here, everybody needs to follow along. That's why it's the master of ceremony. So it's, and this demands a little bit of use to, and if you don't do it enough, the game gets empty, gets boring somehow, because it's just, here's what I want to do, I roll, here's how the playbook tells it. The MC needs to have more input, that to be there, like, as well. We need to feel this presence more, otherwise you don't feel threat in the game, you don't feel threatened, you don't feel you're in pain, you don't feel you're in danger, you don't feel anything like that at all. And so I remember when I was emceeing in the Veil, and it's not about the Veil again, but I was trying to inject MC move, and in my scenario sheet I decided that the weather will be something in the setting, and it was my part. So it was like this big snowstorm. I wanted to feel that snow effect, right? So it was cold and it was snowy and it was a whiteout and the character were walking in the snow and trying to, and there was wind and stuff. I wanted to represent the harsh climate of the future somehow, the dystopian future somehow. And so this is how I injected the stuff in it. And then the other MC changed it, but so for me it was every time you fail, every time there's something, I'm just gonna put some of that stuff in there, and taking away your gear, taking away the signal of the computer or anything. So I'm sorry. So yeah, it was so I think I will try another PbtA game, but before I will try it, I would select it carefully and read the playbooks carefully, and how they implement the MC move and everything, just to make sure that I have some kind of grain that I need in my games, according to genre and according to social contract as well. So that's my take on PbtA games, really. I mean, they're reliable. They will produce a great experience, depending on how you do it. But as you learn it, there is some part of it that feels artificial, and some way, like the core, mechanism, the design mechanism. The level is a little bit more abstract, and so if you're looking for a certain type of grain and everything, they will not. Some might be able to produce it, but some might not. So it's important to be aware of that. All right, thank you for watching.